What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with another Dokkan Battle video. Now, I haven't covered a lot of one-on-one stuff, and I realized that every video is somebody's first video, and we're getting ready to go to the anniversary, and we're getting new players all the time. In fact, I have a nephew who just recently picked up this game, and a lot of the questions that we're going to address today are questions that have been addressed to me. So I thought I'd cover them in their kind of own format. And no better way to do that than with a brand new unit that just dropped in the AGL Frieza. Now, when it comes to team building for Frieza, obviously, this team here isn't optimal. It's a good team, but it's not optimal by any stretch of the imagination. When you're building a team for something like this, number one, first and foremost, you want to think, is my unit the best leader for this team? And I think, honestly, with Frieza, the answer is probably not. But let's just take a minute here and consider what we want to do if we want to build this team very specifically. And I'll get into why he's probably not the best leader here in a minute. But leader skill-wise, when you're building a team, this is like the first thing you do. You say, okay, what is a leader skill? What are we basing this team on? So let's go ahead and look at Frieza and look at his leader skill. And I'll break this down, okay? So when it comes to building teams, there's two types of teams you can really fundamentally build that are functional in this game. That is either a category team or a type team. Now, he is obviously an extreme AGL type. He would be really good going up against a super strength unit. So when it's like Battlefield or something like that, where it's very, color oriented, that's how you kind of want to address that. Most of the time, though, you're going to be using the categories. And in this case, the categories he supports are planetary destruction or space traveling warriors. That means that anybody that's on either one of those two teams will work on his team. Now, there are different levels of boost. In his case, he does Ki +3. That means that when you're trying to raise the bar of all the units in the game, if they're a regular TUR or whatever, it's 12. If they're a UR, it's like 12 to 24. The higher that number, the more of that bar you're going to fill. Obviously, you do with 2 leader skills, so you double run this guy. You instantly start with 6 before you get any of the other boosts. And obviously, there's like link skills and things like that, which we'll cover in a moment. But no, basically that Ki 3 is good, Ki 4 is better, but Ki 4 is pretty rare as far as like leaders go. Then you have like some sub leaders that are a little bit lower, but nevertheless, the higher that key number, the better the leader is. But then you also got to look over here, because even though that key number is really important, arguably more important are the stats that he increases. So, HP and attack and defense. That means health, offense, defense. Everything is boosted 70 or 170%. That means that whatever number that is right there, you could take that and you can add 70% back on top of it. So that's just the baseline. That's the minimum that you will achieve. Now, trust me when I say when you get to passive skills and things like that, those get cumbersome. But the numbers go crazy from that point on. But this is the very base starting. Now, there are different percentages. There are some percentages as high as 200%. There are some like 180s, 170s, 150 used to be the meta for a while, things like that. Right now, 170 is the norm, but we really want to get to 200. Now, this is where leader skills get a little tricky, because in a modern leader skill, you're looking at either planetary destruction or space traveling warriors. That's going to give you 3 Ki. That's going to give you 170% bonus on all those stats, right? Really makes a lot of sense. However, an additional attack, a defense, and HP 30% for characters who belong to Inhuman Needs or Terrifying Conquerors. That means that anyone that's on one of those subsequent teams, as well as the original team, gets an extra 30%. They have to be on either one of the first 2 teams and belong to one of the other 2 teams. Now, this gets cumbersome, but it's actually pretty easy to determine how that happens. So, let's go ahead and build a quick team. Now, to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just get everybody off the team and we're going to start with the basics, okay? We just have the AGL Frieza, and we want to lead the AGL Frieza. That's our goal today. We might find along the way we're doing something else, but that's our goal at this particular moment. So, once again, planetary destruction, space traveling warriors. So if I go in here to team formation, not confirm. If I go down here to this little yellow button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically, I always make sure I do this by special attack, because that's going to be basically at what point this unit has all the boosts and all the best stuff. Then I'm going to go over here to category. Now, you want to select partial match. A full match means that they would have to be in both of the categories, but a partial match means it's all the units in either one of the two categories. So, we're doing Space Traveling Warriors. All I do is type in SP, grab Space Traveling Warriors, and Planetary Destruction. Okay? So, right now, Space Traveling Warriors and Planetary Destruction have been selected. Those are our two teams. Okay? In this long, extensive list. Reason I did partial match is because if I do full match, check this out. We get, some units. 92 units in total. A lot of those are repeats on my part because I've got some dupes and stuff that haven't fit in yet, or maybe they're on, they're extraneous ones that I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with yet. However, if I go to partial match, every single unit, that number has quadrupled. Every single unit that could potentially fit on that team, we know will. Now we start to break this down. And for me, Terrifying Conquerors is the easiest one to kind of work around. But even Inhuman Deeds, you could already tell right out of the gate, most of those units, if not all those units, are not going to be superclass units. So we're not looking at like Jiren and stuff like that down there. So what I can do is I can just hit this little button here that sets it to extreme class only. That means that I will only have villains in my repertoire. Okay? Pretty easy stuff. Now, obviously at the top of my list here are a bunch of LRs. I already know that Strength Cooler, they get eaten alive for that one in the comments. Strength Cooler is the leader for Terrifying Conquerors. In fact, he's a 200% leader himself. Terrifying Conquerors, movie bosses, and units who belong to Transformation Boost category. So I know he's going to be a great fit. I already know that right out of the gate. Now, and he's going to link up well, because anybody that kind of is in that like Frieza-ish, I guess they call it Wicked Bloodlines category, but anybody that's like of the Frieza species should link up pretty well, should have some pretty good link skills. What we want to avoid is like this right here, another First Form Frieza. When the units have the same name, i.e. if you look here, it says Frieza, parentheses, First Form. Same here. We avoid that, because if those two wind up on a team together, they will not share link skills. I'll get to what link skills are in a moment. However, and I know this is not the best Frieza ever by any stretch of the imagination, but he recently did get an easy A. Frieza Full Power will link up. He will work. So, if I go down here to his link skills, he's got Prodigies, Universe's Most Malevolent, Strongest Clan in Space, Big Bad Bosses, Fierce Battle, Over to Flash, Legendary Power. And anything that this Frieza shares, if they're in a team together, they will link up and they will work. So he's an option. Not the best option, but an option nevertheless. That also brings me to this cooler. Okay? He is just cooler. Now this guy is cooler final form. So that means I could actually, in theory, throw this cooler on the team as well. Another unit that's recently EZA'd. Pretty good unit. Probably not phenomenal, but it is what it is. We're building a team, right? We're making choices. Now, this Frieza is full power. This Frieza is also full power. So let's say I want to get rid of this Frieza. I want to have more AGL units on my team. I'm going to choose this Frieza. Also, let's say for the sake of argument, this Frieza maybe had some link skills that were either higher level or more link skills in common with the first form Frieza, I would then opt to maybe use this unit. Once again, we're not going to use both. We're going to use one or we're going to use the other. And so far, we've got a lot of Frieza Clan units down here that we know will work. Now, how do we know all these guys are on the extra team? Terrifying Conquerors or Inhuman Deeds. Well, number one, we already said that they're extreme, so they have a higher likelihood of being on there. But Terrifying Conquerors is anybody in the series that is essentially a malevolent force of conquering, i.e., you've got Bojack, who, I mean, if you watch the movie, pretty obvious. He's a terrifying conqueror. So, yeah, right there. You've got, your Turleses. Even Vegeta was a terrifying conqueror. Anybody that was essentially planetary level of like usurping, they are going to be on that team. So you've got like second form baby. I don't think he's on that team. I would be shocked if he's on. Okay, he is terrifying conquerors. Getting a little interesting with that. But Goku Ginyu was a terrifying conqueror, but was the Goku Ginyu? Okay, they still give it to him because he's technically there. Vegeta and Nappa definitely are great units for that. The Saiyan Saga Vegeta probably. Broly, yeah, because his Paragus did take it over. But notice that actually, no. Broly doesn't have that. Because Broly himself wasn't the Conqueror, it actually was Paragus. So, you got to apply a certain amount of logic to this at some point, but also at the same day, you can also go in here and check it, just like I was doing. So go to detail list, and you'll know immediately it fit, it doesn't fit. But if you really if you know the series and you think about it, it becomes pretty obvious. So Kid Vegeta, most definitely. That was his whole goal. Obviously, King Vegeta, absolutely. Baby, I was a little weird on, but I guess he kind of did sort of. Ginyu, most definitely. But Broly was another kind of question mark there. But you could tell pretty quickly, pretty easily, whether or not this is going to be the case. Now, pop quiz. I know the answer. Do you know the answer? Int Cell. Okay? Terrifying Conqueror, yay or nay? Lock your answer in. Pause the video, do whatever you got to do. Let's find out if you were correct. The answer is, he's got a lot of these here, but no terrifying conquerors. Planetary destruction, yes, but he was not a conqueror. He was just there for battle. That's kind of the quick way you can figure that one out. Now, Inhuman D is its own thing. It's a weird category, but anybody that does something that's just absolutely just the most foul behavior, case in point Frieza, they're going to be on that team. So if they've just been a force of unmitigated malevolence, they're probably going to be on that team. Not always, but they will. Vegeta's definitely there on most of these Vegetas. Not all these Vegetas, most of these Vegetas. Is Turles there? That's a good question. Once again, lock in your answer. 3, 2, 1. He is not. He is not, but he is Terrifying Conquerors. So those are things that you can kind of play around with and figure out. That one will take a learning curve. The secondary leader skills, the 30% leader skills, are a bit of a learning curve, but once you know some of those more prominent teams, it becomes pretty easy. Yes, that does mean that you have to do a little research. Yes, it does mean team building is a little harder sometimes, but a really solid, effective team will be able to utilize all of these effects. Now, we need to talk about link skills, and the link skills could be their own video altogether. In fact, I will drop its own video, but let's go ahead and take a look at the link skills that Frieza has at his disposal. So that's these little things right here. So big bad bosses, Frieza's army, universe's most malevolent, strongest clan in space, Thirst for Conquest, obviously he's a conqueror, Fear and Faith, and Fierce Battle. Now, essentially, each one of these has its own skill. So if we look at Big Bad Bosses, skill effect, attack and defense plus 25%. That means every single time this is linked up. So if we go to, let's go to actually Strength Cooler. He has Big Bad Bosses as well. When they are together in a team, they're side by side, they will link up with that skill, and each unit will get the attack and defense 25%. If we go back over here to AGL Frieza, I am willing to bet he's got some links that the other one doesn't have. Frieza's army. He definitely does not have Frieza's army. So let's go take a look at Strength Cooler. He has Metamorphosis, Universe's Most Malevolent, Strongest Kind of Space, Thirst for Conquest, and Fierce Battle. But essentially, Metamorphosis is the one that he has instead. So while he would get 5% recovery and attack and defense 10%, and then Frieza would get his own stuff, they're not going to have that link. So essentially, everything but that pretty much will link. Almost everything but that will link. He doesn't have Fear and Faith either, but he, as an LR, he has Legendary Power. So of the 7 link skills they have, 5 would link up. And every single time those link up, these units get stronger. So that becomes the next thing you want to consider when you're building these. So if I kind of decide I want everyone to have, let's say for the sake of argument, Big Bad Bosses. So let's go back down here one more time. And see right here, right at the very bottom, it says Select Link Skills. I can just hit my search and search Big Bad Bosses. These are all the units with Big Bad Bosses. It literally filtered all the units. Now, I want to add, let's say for the sake of argument, I want to add Fear and Faith. You could add multiple links here. So I can add Fear and Faith and see how this affects my results. Now it's only the Firstborn Friezas and random Hirudegarn. Okay, but maybe I don't like that answer. Maybe I now want to do Thirst for Conquest and Strongest Clan in Space. Okay, we could do both of those. So let's go out here. And let's get rid of Fear and Faith. And let's do Thirst for Conquest. And Strongest Clan in Space. There we go. Now, that's 3 separate link skills. Remember, each one of those that link up makes your unit that much stronger. Plus, they're all on the same team. Plus, they're all most likely going to have those extra 30% boosts. So here we go. Now, be cautious here. Because Firstborn Frieza, this guy will not link up. Now, he's a special case because he's got extra forms. So when he will not link up in his first form, but in his second, third, fourth, and final forms, he will link up. So let's check out Cooler. Cooler has all the link skills, and because he's Cooler final form, he'll link up. There's nothing stopping him. Let's see. This Cooler is Cooler final form. So those are good, but they will not go together. Notice this guy's Cooler final form as well. So getting multiple units on here with that same name would be a bad move. So this kind of becomes a huge question mark. Do we want to do this? And the answer is probably not. We might want to go find a different link skill and just, try that instead. So there is some trial and error here, but the good news is everybody down here still has all those link skills, so everybody down here is going to link up. The more link skills you have, the better off they are. Remember, if Frieza goes in the center, he can link up to the left and the right. But if he's in slot 1, he can only link up one way or the other. So you got to think about your team arrangement like this. If you want to see more about that, go watch my video on damage testing Frieza, and I explained a little bit there. But as is, this video is getting fairly long in the tooth. We can talk a little bit more about link skills coming up soon. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back with more Dokkan Battle coming real soon.